Buongiorno, hola, welcome back to another video. 2022, having a great time. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that this video is terrible. This video is all over the place. It really seems like we're not getting anywhere. I'm just gonna give you the highlights and you can kind of stay tuned and watch what happens. But pretty much this whole video is about doing the DA engine bay. And if you are interested in wire tucking, which we will sort of get into this video, at least part one of it, stay tuned for the next video where we actually finish up the wire tuck and see what happens. Alright, what's going on? Welcome back. Now that we have the EF kind of sorted and put together, now we're back working on the DA. I still have not sprayed this engine bay off. However, I have removed the ABS, which is really what I wanted to do before I sprayed everything off. So I'm essentially just trying to get everything ready and situated so that I can pull it into the car wash area and spray everything off and get this thing nice and clean, and then we could go from there, start putting this thing back together. Obviously I've been pulling out lots of bolts, little clips here and there, and I'm just going to continue to move forward and figure out exactly what I'm going to do with the brake system, the ABS system. So, not very sexy, not very exciting stuff. So we'll get to it. The biggest thing that we really need to handle is drilling the hole for the clutch cable. I'm still on the fence on whether or not to retain power steering or delete it. I might keep it, I don't know. Wire tucking, don't know. At this point, we will see. Stay tuned and let's see what happens. Sprayed out. It's nice and clean, still a little wet. Now we can finally get to some work over here and get some stuff done and get old girl slapped in there. So building a car sometimes takes a lot of time and patience and annoyingness. Okay, finally have the engine bay clean. It is nice, clean, and dry. Doesn't have a bunch of crap all over it, so now we can kind of work. Now this does look like a damn mess. Obviously the AC lines I'm keeping. I'm trying to just keep them out of the way. Heater hoses, same thing, since we're remaining B series. And then of course the power steering. Now I want to go over some theories real quick as to why I'm choosing to do things and what's up. So I don't know if I've shown you this yet. Here's my current ABS delete setup. Obviously I've removed the ABS over there and I'm having to make new lines. Obviously I've done 2 of them, which is the 2 rears. That leaves 4 left. I have one almost pre-made to go from the proportioning valve over to the driver's side. I just wanted to make sure that I mounted it somewhere, and here it's mounted nice and tight, perfect. Once I have the brake line situated, then it's going to be wiring, then the engine is going to go in, and then we're gonna do suspension. So that's what we're working on for now. I'm gonna get busy and I'll show you as I go. So what's up, the day after Christmas? We're gonna go pick up some more brake line and some more paint, which I just found out that they make R81. So let's just go see if any stores have it in stock. Okay, back in the garage, cleaning things up, trying to get more things prepared. I ordered some paint, so we're gonna touch up the bay. Hopefully the color should match. It's duplicate color. Should be here in a couple of days. I have decided to delete the power steering because I found a leak, and I don't really want to deal with leaking power steering. And it really does kind of clutter up the engine bay, and so I'm going to go ahead and remove all the lines for that. As you can see, if you ever want to do this, you basically just follow the lines and follow anywhere that it's bolted to, and you know, disconnect the power steering. And of course there's all this stuff up front which really makes things more and more difficult. I think I'm going to retain the sprayers though, but I really want to kind of tuck some of the wires and make this engine bay clean. I also ordered a bunch of new brake parts, new brake calipers. We'll discuss that stuff further. The brake lines, I have just about finished the wheel brake lines. I need to do the last two brake lines for the master cylinder, which I'll show you guys how to do that. I'm going to be running that underneath the subframe down there. And also kind of cleaning all this stuff up. This is all wiring. As we kind of get closer and closer, I just really want to do this the way that I want to do it. I don't really want to skip anything. The more I thought about keeping the power steering, the more I was just like, I just felt like I was going to pull it out later or have an issue with it later. But what I'm going to be using is a Dev Sport loop kit, and once that gets here, we'll loop that onto the power steering rack, so it should have some fluid in it. But we're going to go ahead and remove all of this stuff because I really want to get the engine bay as stripped down as I can to touch up the paint here and there, and just, you know, have this thing as clean as possible. So just in case if I want to go back to power steering in the future, I can. I'm going to hold on to all of that stuff. So for now, I just want to loop the kit and, you know, get this car to be a driver and get it ready for the spring. So it is the day after Christmas here, and you can tell I'm sweating because it's 80 degrees outside. Another cool thing that I got is a Odyssey battery tray. We'll be mounting this down here somewhere. We'll be figuring that out. But I'm going to be running an Odyssey PC680 battery so that it's out of the way, because obviously for DAs, the battery is huge and in the way. So instead of relocating it to the trunk, I'm going to be running one of these batteries in the engine bay and, you know, kind of going from there. So I'm also going to be painting this black so it's not so super duper chromy. But I'm going to go ahead and start stripping this stuff out. All right, now you could tell it's almost like nothing happens. All right, got the power steering stuff pulled out. Not all of it. We still got a couple more pieces we're going to wait to pull out. So when we get the loop kit, we're just cleaning, more cleaning. I want this engine bay clean. So that's all we're really doing. It's just wasting time that nobody cares about. Just clean, clean, clean. All little dirty stuff. It just seems like nothing's happening, but we do have the wiring harness pulled back, and we do still have to make a hole, drill a hole right there for the clutch cable. And then of course the shift linkage on the inside. Finish up the pedals. And it's just, we're moving forward. I'm gonna have to go all over this stuff. Also, we're gonna get the clutch flywheel torqued up, 85 foot-pounds on the ARP bolts, 19 foot-pounds on the pressure plate. We're gonna put the trans on, get these two mated together.
You know what I mean? Like, you didn't start recording, you just position it.
Okay, I'm stupid. Use the ARP lube on the flywheel bolts. We're torquing to 85 foot-pounds. I didn't turn the camera off. So, again, there's Beck helping. I've already gone in the correct pattern. I'm only going in a circle just to double check them. we got the transmission on, bolted on. I'm just trying to get as much footage as we can. Now we're just chasing the threads on some of these because it was out in the yard for a long time. All right, back in the garage. We've got some things to do. One of which is paramount. Well, drilled a hole for the clutch cable. We're still working on all the wiring. The brake lines are just about done. We got to add 2 more for the master, obviously. But I need to get the pedal set here mounted in. Once the pedal set gets mounted in, we can put the booster on, we can put the master cylinder on, and then we can, you know, make some brake lines. So we're gonna see where we can go from there. So we're moving forward, still gotta remove a lot of stuff here for the power steering and figure out what we're gonna do about the wiring, but moving on. It's slow progress right now because we're just waiting on parts. As you can tell, the engine is just about 100% ready to go in. Slow progress, slow moving. It's just because we're waiting on parts and things, and I'm actually gonna go pick up a couple more things in the store. So we actually have a we actually have a Christmas miracle going on here. I found locally at a store Milano red, and I can't believe it. So what we're gonna do, check this out, use it on the engine bay. Now the engine bay looks pretty good, but you know, there's just some areas like here, you know, over here, where we're just gonna touch it up. We're not gonna go crazy. We're not gonna spray down the whole bay. I'm gonna get busy kind of cleaning each little area, pulling out any plastic pieces, dropping any bolts I need to, and just doing a little spritz, okay? I'm not going crazy with it, all right? I'm gonna get busy doing that. Now it's time to put our pedal set in, and this is the worst part of the whole situation. I truly believe it. So you're gonna have to drop the steering column, as you can see here, which I've done. I'm gonna try to get as much of this on film as I can, but I'm gonna be honest with you, there's not gonna be a ton. I had to remove the air ducting up here to be able to get this, and it'll go back in after. Now you can see the hole that I drilled up there for the clutch pedal. It's gonna be 4 nuts for the brake booster, 1 where the gas pedal is, and then there's another hole off to the side of the brake booster which a bolt will go into, and then 1 facing up here. I've got to use both hands to try to fit this thing in here. Once I get it in here, I'll give you an overall view of how we do this. It's just not fun, and it's the worst part of the whole thing, I think. Okay, review time. Pedal set is in, and it was a pain in the ass. Mostly because as you put the pedal set in, you have to lift the steering column. But there is a 12 there right above the gas pedal, and there's 4 nuts on the brake booster, of course. And there's actually 1 little 10mm up in the corner there. I don't know if you can see it. Yep, 1 little 10mm that goes in there. And then of course the one that faces straight up, that one goes in there. And so far everything's looking good. Got to obviously put the whole steering column back together, but this nightmare is now over. It really wasn't that hard. I just unbolted the regular pedal set, and the new pedal set went in there. Obviously you just have to drill a hole for the clutch pedal, and that's just or the clutch cable, and that's just about it. But now what I'm doing is I've kind of unbolted the dash a little bit to sort of get some space to see if I can't get all the stuff underneath there, like the vents and stuff, fit it in there a little bit easier, nicer. So I'm gonna try to put all this back together because it's time to really get all this stuff put back together. It's kind of a mess. So we're you know, finishing up the pedal set, and I was fortunate enough to get a harness sent to me by C2 Spec Motoring. I'll put his Instagram on the screen. And what he sells and offers are these harnesses that convert from auto to manual. So I'm able to do the clutch switch and cruise control, and there's different options that he has, but this actually makes it pretty convenient if you're doing an auto to manual swap and you just want something that's easy plug and play. So check him out, and if you're in the market, hit him up. And yeah, the quality of this thing looks really good. So I'm about to get in here and install it. Should be pretty straightforward. There's also reverse lights on here, so it's pretty cool. Alright, making a little bit more progress. The bay has been nice, cleaned, and sprayed, or touched up. Nice fresh Milano red. As you can tell, we have new master. I was going to opt for the 98 and up Integra booster in master, which just gives you a better pedal feel. I could do that down the road, but just really wasn't in the budget right now. Got 2 more lines to finish to the proportioning valve. Just about got that all finished and put together. And once we get the proportioning valve and the brake lines done, it's go time for putting this motor in. So yeah, this is a lot of boring prep, as well as I also have the, I'll go over this later, can't see anything, the interior kind of halfway put back together. There are pedals in there, everything is good to go. You can see the shift linkage, or at least one arm of the shift linkage is there. So we're gonna go over all that, plus the auto to manual conversion a little bit later. Fuck yeah, getting these brake lines done, tucking them down below. Looks pretty good. Oh gosh, Carl's helping me. Thank you, Carl. Cool, metal. All right. Now, starting to put the interior back together. I'm using the C2 spec auto to manual conversion harness. It's pretty simple. There's 2 plugs for the clutch pedal. One is the clutch neutral safety switch. The other is the cruise control. It also has these wires here that go to the reverse lights. So they'll light up, and these this plug goes over and plugs into these plugs over here. So pretty simple, straightforward. So I'm starting to put the interior back together. I have the shifter mounted. You have to drill 2 holes, 2 12mm nuts, 2 bolts for that. But yeah, I'm gonna start putting the interior back together. The engine bay is just about done. As you can see, I've got everything touched up. Nice red paint. I got super lucky. Dupla color makes the Milano red. So already won. So the great thing is I'm able to touch this up in the future. Before I put the motor in, I still got a few things to deal with, like the wiring, because there's a whole bunch of wires I don't need any longer, because Carl came and, as you saw, hooked up the brake lines. They run underneath here and they run over here. He did an amazing job helping me bend the lines and run them, and also a Wireworks engine harness, plug and play. Stay tuned, we're gonna be doing something with this too. Gonna be running a Wireworks engine harness on this bad boy. We've got a lot to do. Also got to pick our spindles up. The new rotors and calipers have shown up, and we're gonna be swapping suspension out. And of course, the Odyssey battery location here. I just found this bracket on eBay and bought the battery. So we need to just start to tidy everything up. Right here is new AC bracket with the pulley. The one that was on the engine before had a broke off bolt here. So that's gonna go on the engine. And need to swap the rear mount out. Also deal with the power steering lines. It's still in the way. DevSport kit has not shown up. I don't know if they're out of business or not. So I ordered a DevSport power steering kit, and now I'm kind of upset because I don't know if they're out of business or what's going on. I ordered it like 2 weeks ago and it still hasn't shipped. So I'm not 100% sure on that. I need to kind of get underneath there, disconnect the last pieces of power steering lines, figure out where to go from there. Well, quick little thing that I realized, if you notice, the AC lines aren't in here anymore. Neither is the compressor, and that's because for some reason it's no longer holding any sort of charge. So, which is fine. I disconnected all the lines, and the seals were pretty shot. So I'm gonna reseal everything. That's just a $5 kit. I'm gonna do that down the road. But one of the things I gotta do now is begin to cut apart and unloom this wire, because there's so many wires I don't need to use anymore, especially with the ABS system. So I'm gonna cut apart and then see what I can pull through, see what I can tuck, see what I can't. So this is experimental for me. All right, for you hardcore kids that are following along, as you can see, the headlight harness that went through here attached to the fuse box here. These are the plugs for the fuse box. Down here is the plugs for the engine harness, and all of this is for the headlights and AC and fan. Now all of this wiring here, if you notice, it's got all the pink plugs. This is all to the ABS. Now I had to, there's actually 3 relays associated with the ABS. If you notice right here, that's a ground, and these 2 are ground that I had to eject out of this guy. Okay, now this is a ground junction. Now if you notice this little silver piece here, this is what grounds your whole harness. See all these black wires? You know, as long as you attach that to something metal, it's gonna get a ground. But the main thing that I'm doing here is trying to separate all of the ABS wiring. Now I have it sectioned here. What I'm going to try to do, you know, again, this is just, it's scary for me too. But also, when it came to the fuse box, if you look on the fuse box, there's a ABS1, ABS2, ABS relay. I took those out. So when you look into the fuse box, those have been removed. Now what I'm going to try to do is cut that harness back some more. You know, I'm going to try to chop this, or just, you know, make a slice down the side so I don't cut any wires. See if I can't pull this through the firewall. Once I do that, you know, I can possibly cut them. I don't really like to do that, but if you do cut them, make sure that there are no loose ends touching. You never know where all this stuff kind of spiders into. The way these older cars are, they're a little different. All right, I'm just going to continue working, but this is essentially if you wanted to do a wire tuck or what they call a wire eliminate. This is how you do it. You just take your time, find out what goes to what. You know, I'm gonna put some zip ties around these just to, you know, keep it all tight, and then of course clean all the wiring up and wrap it and lumen all that stuff later. But you know, this is just, I don't know what I'm doing either. You just gotta start and take your time. All right, update here. If you notice, no wires over here. Big holes over there. That's because I went ahead and pulled out the AC airbox systems here. And of course, everybody's favorite, go ahead and cringe, the wiring. Pulled it through the firewall. Now, you might be going, what the fuck is all this? Oh my God. It's actually pretty simple. You can see here that I've got it zip tied this section. Here is the headlight harness. So either this needs to go back to the firewall, or I can tuck it behind the fender, you know, drill a hole, do whatever. This section of wiring here is the ABS wiring. You can see how ridiculous it is. And then this wiring is actually the engine harness and everything connected to that. So, you know, this is all relays, pink plugs, you know, all the doodads, gadgets and whatnot that you can expect from. Anyway. And then the third section is the fuse box and windshield wiper. So some of these will go back through the firewall. I'm just trying to decide on what the best thing to do is. You know, to do this, you definitely have to drop the AC box. There's just no other way around it. To be 100% honest with you, this is one of those things where I keep digging myself a deeper hole. And I wanted to put this engine in, and we're no closer to putting the engine in because I just keep deciding to go further and push it further. Here it is as it stands. We're gonna get there, I promise. Okay, fun. Driver's side, same thing. Cut all of the tape and everything else, all this stuff, you know, needs to go through the firewall. These plugs won't be used. Maybe this one will be for the brake switch. A lot of this stuff, map sensor and other plugs, weren't really necessary. There's like one plug for the ABS, and then these 2 plugs actually are going to be used for the conversion harness. So we're going to try to get these through the firewall. This is gonna be the hard part because it looks like the brake booster's on the way, but it's not. I'm gonna be honest with you. Trying to push these connectors through or get these connectors through is gonna be the big hard problem. So I'm gonna get underneath and see if I can't, you know, persuade some of these things to get through the big hole. So, all right, so as you could tell, here we are. There are no wires on this side, and that's because they are in the driver's seat. We have these wires here on this side, which I've already explained earlier. This is all the headlight harness right here. And then these couple of wires. Now, I didn't explain why and what's gotta happen. So I have to drop the pedal set because these wires have to go through the firewall. So for our Wireworks chassis harness, it has to plug up to these plugs and they need to be behind the firewall. And I made the mistake of completely forgetting about that. So if you notice, I've got the booster separated and the pedal set getting ready to be removed. Then we're gonna finish up the wiring. So that's where we're gonna finish today's video up. Stay tuned for the next one, which should be up Wednesday. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and we're gonna get working on this car. I'm so excited to finally get this thing together and get it on the road. So stay tuned. It's gonna be awesome. Peace out.